Good. Start using all the props. That is kind of a nice way to, and it was actually a position that I often end class in, but I just kind of felt like starting in it today. So 3 blocks in a bolster if you don't have all of that already. So you will want your bolster behind you on the mat. And then you'll have 1 block at the far away end of the bolster so that you have this nice little ramp. And some of you already know where we're going. For your other 2 blocks, put 1 on each side of your mat, kind of at the base of your bolster. And you're actually going to need a blanket to roll up to. So if you need 2 blankets, absolutely fine to have 2 blankets. So for 1 of your blankets, you're going to open it up to this shape. You're going to roll that into a nice little tube and put that in front of you. Nice. And then sit right up against your bolster and bring the soles of your feet together. Pick up your blanket roll, put the middle of it on top of your feet, and then lift up your knees and wrap that blanket roll around your ankles so you have some nice support. So we're going to be in this position for a while before you lay back. I'm going to say this. So if at some point you're like, this is not feeling good with my hips, just bring your feet wide, knees touch, do like a constructive rest kind of position. And then you can start to lay back on your bolster. You have a couple of blocks, so you can use those to rest your forearms on if you want not quite as much of that chest opening. Hands can be face up, face down, does not matter. If your knees need a little extra support, you can also slide that down and rest your knees there. If you want another blanket across your belly and chest, that can be nice and grounding. That is up to you. Take a few moments to begin to arrive. We're hopefully in a position where everything is completely supported and your muscles don't need to do anything to keep you there. If you notice there's some little wiggles you need to do to get more comfortable, take as much time as you need to do that. Begin to notice how your body feels tonight. As you're settling in, you might notice if there's places where you're holding on to muscular energy or tension. You can thank those muscles for doing all the work that they do for you. And then invite them to maybe soften just a little bit. Might notice your forehead, jaw, and your tongue. Shoulders. Your belly and hips. Anywhere else that might be able to soften a little bit more. Spend a little bit more time settling into your body. Might also begin to notice your breath. Notice the movement of your belly and chest. Decide if you would like to keep your breath exactly as it is, or perhaps begin to breathe a little bit more deeply, and maybe even emphasize and lengthen your exhale. Breath is probably your best tool in staying in this present moment. So I'm going to invite you to come back to your breath over and over throughout practice tonight. Take a little while to settle into your breath. If there's anything else that needs your attention, perhaps a thought or emotion, you might notice that. Or if you would like to set an intention for your practice tonight, take some time now and explore that. Take about 5 more breaths and just notice whatever's there. Do your 5 breaths, or when you feel ready, bring your hands outside your knees and use your assistance of your hands to press your knees together and let your feet come wide on the mat for a few moments. That constructive rest position. And take a few breaths here. When you're ready, you might bring your hands to the floor close to your hips. Lead with your chest. Begin to press yourself up and over to the right. We're going to do a nice supported twist here on our bolster. So option to leave the ramp just as it is, or if you want something a little bit deeper, you can remove that block from the faraway end. And then for your feet, You can either stack your knees or bring your left knee into the sole of your right foot. Your right hip will be right up against your bolster. One hand on each side of your bolster, and then twist and walk your hands out to rest your belly and chest on top of that bolster. Take a few moments to do any adjusting or settling that you need to do. See if you can find a position that's reasonably comfortable, since we'll be here for a few minutes. If at any point in time you need to readjust, change, come out of this, please take care of yourself and do whatever you need to do. You might start by noticing how this feels in your body as you enter into the position. And maybe even notice your belly pressing into your bolster with every breath. And as you need to, come back to this breath and use that to ground you in this moment. Begin to come closer towards the end of this position. See if you can notice if anything feels a little bit different in your body. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. All absolutely wonderful. And take about 5 more breaths. When you feel ready, begin to press into your hands and walk them back towards your hips as you lift up towards the seat. Unwind and bring your legs to any comfortable position for a few moments. So before we explore the second side, we'll let our spines come back to neutral a little bit. While you're here, if you want to make any gentle movements, so cat and cow, gentle twists, even a neck circle, take a few moments to do that. Listen to what your body is asking for. Take about 3 more breaths here. When you feel ready, you can begin to set up for the second side. Bring your left thigh against your bolster. Your knees can stack, or you can bring your right knee into the sole of your left foot. One hand on each side of the bolster. Twist and let your belly and chest rest on your bolster as you walk your hands out. Again, take a few moments to do any wiggles, settling, changing that will make you more comfortable. Know that at any point you can readjust or come out of this position. And settle in and notice what's happening as you begin this side. If your focus has drifted away, very gently, without judgment, come back to this present breath.
You come towards the end of your second side here. See what you can notice happening now. And take about 5 more breaths. This feels complete for you. Begin to press into your palms, walk your hands back towards your hips, unwind, and come back to whatever comfortable seat you'd like for a few more moments. Let everything come back to neutral. Either stay in stillness or find some gentle movements, whatever your body is asking for now. Take about 3 more breaths. We'll begin to set up for just one big forward fold tonight. So since we're only doing one options, lots of options for our folds. You could have your legs out straight in front of you. For yin, our feet are a little bit wider than hip width and toes are nice and relaxed. Or if you'd like to explore your feet together, you're welcome to do that. For our fold here, you can either use props or let gravity do the work. So you could grab your bolster or a block or two to rest your head on. Or you can just let your head hang down and let gravity do the work. Either way, our yin style fold is with a rounded spine, not the flat spine that we have in vinyasa. So you can start with that tall spine if you'd like, but as you walk your hands forward, let your spine round. So you're looking kind of down between your thighs. And then head can rest on something or not. You might notice something happening through the backs of your legs, your spine, or something else. Begin to settle into whatever is happening now. Notice if your experience with staying in stillness is different when you're in a seated position versus when you are lying down. Sometimes that shifts your attention. So you might just explore if anything is a little bit different. Begin to notice if anything feels a little different in your body after several minutes in this position. We stay in these positions longer in our yin class because it takes at least a minute for our muscles to know it's safe to really relax and begin to lengthen. And it takes that much time for our muscles to relax before we can get into our connective tissues as well. There's a reason why we're staying here for this long, to allow your muscles to stretch in the connective tissues, your fascia, all that synovial fluid to finally get a little attention that it does not get in other forms of yoga classes. About 3 last breaths here and see what you notice. Feel ready. Start to gently lift up. You might set your props off to the side for a moment. Bring your hands behind you, fingertips pointed out to the side or in towards your body, and lean back open through your chest. If you would like to have a little gentle rocking movement from side to side, you're welcome to explore that. Take a few more breaths, any movements your body would like. And again, begin to lift up. Find your blanket roll and set that up kind of in the middle of your mat so we can do our Zoas stretch as requested. If you want something different props, different whatever, feel free to do that. If you want a bigger roll, so you want to re-roll your blanket, feel free. We won't be here for 5 whole minutes. We'll make this a little bit shorter than that. But whenever you feel ready, go ahead and lower yourself down. Anything that's comfortable with your hands, your forehead. And notice what this is like. And just like in lots of our formats of yoga, not everything's going to always be pleasant and enjoyable. Doesn't mean it's not good for you. Sometimes means you need to pay extra attention. And if it causes the wrong kind of hurt, that actual pain, please do not do it. If it's that this is slightly uncomfortable, but I know it's good for me kind of sensation, you can choose to challenge yourself to stay there. Might use your breath to help keep you in that moment or distract you. Whatever works for you is a great way to do it. Another 3 or 4 breaths. When you feel ready, begin to bring your hands on either side of your chest under your shoulders, maybe tuck your toes and press up towards a tabletop position. So you might walk your knees in. Take a couple rounds of cat and cow, moving your hips from side to side, whatever you would like. At some point, you can slide that blanket roll off to the side as well. A couple nice big circles with your hips. If you're doing anything that is one side, make sure you also do the other side at some point in the next few breaths. Back to stillness whenever you're ready. And then in any way that's good for your body, lower yourself all the way down to the floor. Legs long behind you. You can start by making that little pillow for your head and resting your forehead or your cheek there for a couple of moments. Feel those nice big breaths. Maybe notice your belly pressing into the floor. Just focus on nothing but your breath for a few moments. Are welcome to stay exactly where you are if you would like. If you would like to explore a few rounds of back bends, you might begin to lift up and bring your elbows underneath or slightly in front of your shoulders, palms face down, and look a little bit in front of your mat for a Sphinx position. See if you can press into your elbows, lengthen through your spine, and have your ears lifted away from your shoulders. So we won't hold our back bends for 5 minutes at a time. We'll do about a minute and then we'll take a break in between a few different variations. Couple more breaths. Your next exhale, stack your hands, elbows come out, lower down. You can rest your forehead or one cheek on your hands, and maybe turn your toes in and let your ankles wing out a little bit. Take a few breaths. Bring your ankles and toes back in line with the rest of your legs. Begin to lift up towards that same Sphinx position. And if you would like more, you can press into your palms and lift your elbows off of the floor. If this makes your lower back feel crunchy or causes any pain, drop your elbows back down to the floor or just completely come out of your back bend. Maybe notice if this is a little different than your first round, or notice why you made the choice that you did. I never think there's wrong answers. I just think it's nice to know why we do what we do sometimes, even as simple as, are your elbows up or down? 2 more breaths. Next, exhale. If your elbows are lifted, drop them down. And then hands stack, elbows come out wide. You can rest your forehead or your other cheek on your hands. This time you might bend your knees. Let your feet sway a little bit from side to side. Ready, let your feet drift back to the floor. For your third and final back bend, you could repeat either of the 2 things you just did or any other back bend you would like. So if you love cobra or fingertip cobra or something else, set yourself up for that. And when you're ready, lift up. Remember, you can always drop back down or change positions at any point in time. We don't often hold cobras or up dogs or those other positions for longer periods of time. So that might be a little bit different. Not good or bad, just different. 3 more breaths. Your next exhale, lower down. Bring your hands alongside your chest, press back. We're going to set up for a longer supported child's form. So you can take a traditional child's form if you'd like, or you might set 2 blocks in front of you with some space between them. Set a bolster on top of that. And bring your knees to either side of the bolster. Now you have this nice little space where your arms can hug the bolster in between the 2 blocks. Your head can turn to either side. You try this out and you decide you'd rather do a different version of a child's form or something else, feel free to do that. Space in some ways. Wonderful. We're about halfway through. So if your face has been turned in one direction, you might look the other way and let your neck get a little bit of the other side of a stretch. About 3 more breaths. When you feel ready, begin to lift up towards the seat. Pause there just for a moment. Let your head get rested back on top of your heart. It's full breath in and long exhale out. Let's do that one more time. Full breath in. Let it go. Move your props off to the side. Do just a little bit of movement through our hips or stillness through our hips. So I think you've all been around enough to know if you prefer a sleeping swan or pigeon variation or a figure 4 variation. So whichever one is better for your hips, you can set yourself up for. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Leave your foot on the floor or hug it in. Or bring your right leg in front, left leg behind, and set up for sleeping swan. Both are great options. Listen to what your body wants to do tonight. In a figure 4 position, see if you can keep everything right to the center and not let your hips and your legs lean over to the right. And then hug in as much as you'd like to or not. Take about 3 more breaths on this side. Really notice where you feel sensation right now. We're in a figure 4 with your left foot lifted. Go ahead and drop your foot back down to the ground. Uncross your ankle and either explore constructive rest or a windshield wiper for a couple of moments. If you're in your sleeping swan variation, you can lift up. Gently begin to move to the Senkit side whenever you're ready. Working towards figure 4, bring both knees back towards the ceiling. Walk your feet back to hip width apart if they spread out a little bit. And then cross your left ankle over your right knee and let your knee drop away from your body. Again, option to keep your right foot on the floor or lift it up and release your hands behind your right thigh and hug in. Try to keep from spilling over to the left side and keep everything in the center. See if that changes where you feel something happening. About 3 more slow breaths here. In a figure 4 variation with your right foot lifted, go ahead and release it back to the floor. Uncross your ankle. Either find constructive rest or that windshield wiper again for a few moments. If you're in a sleeping swan pigeon variation, you can gently lift up and make your way to your back body. Bring your knees back to center and start to walk your feet out till your legs are resting long on the mat. Feet together, arms come overhead, big full body stretch. Maybe stretch a little bit through just the right side and then the left. How long you can get. If you'd like to wiggle your fingers, toes, wrists, and ankles, take a moment for that. When you're ready, release all of that energy. You can bring your arms down alongside your body. If you would like any support for your final rest, you might grab
that bolster or blanket roll to bring under your knees. You could have a blanket across your belly and chest for some extra grounding, or anything else that would feel like a nice, comfortable final resting position, even if that's a seat. A couple moments to notice that connection between your body and the floor underneath you. And notice that you are fully supported again. There's nothing you need to do to keep yourself here. Maybe allow your belly button to drop down towards the floor. Perhaps come back to your intention. When you feel ready, you can soften that focus. Allow your body and mind to just wander as they will and take rest. Begin to deepen your breath. Gently bring awareness back into your body. Like you might start to wiggle fingers and toes or circle wrists and ankles. And gently bring awareness back into your body.
might begin to bend your knees. And if it's comfortable for you, roll onto your right side body. Use your right arm as a pillow for your head. Take a few breaths here as you begin to transition back. When you feel ready, come up towards a comfortable seat. Bring our palms together, thumb rests at heart. Deep gratitude that you chose to be here tonight, doing something good for your body and your spirit. And gratitude to all of our teachers that have passed this tradition down through the generations. We'll close our practice by bringing our thumbs to our forehead and bowing. The light in me bows to and honors the light in each of you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.